What separates those who achieve extraordinary deeds and live lives of success and build businesses that endure from those who live lives of quiet desperation and fail in business? The answer is the ability to manage energy. That is what allows you to work longer than others, to persist for high time horizons, and to put forth more intensity into learning and doing the things that you need in order to succeed. Now, how do you manage that energy? Because on the one hand, there is the answer: do what you love, pursue your passion. But of course, those who have attempted to actually build a business around their passion have quickly found out that building a business takes a lot more than just the core activity you are passionate about. Say that you are writing fiction books. The writing is maybe half of it. The other half is the packaging and the marketing and the systems that allow you to produce like clockwork and to build an audience to monetize your products. So how do you keep the discipline for that other half, for the part that you are not immediately rewarded, that is not immediately pleasurable to do? And the answer is in looking at how willpower actually works. So it's often said that it is discipline that allows you to bypass and continue to do the things that you don't like, that are necessary for success. But is that the truth? Discipline has a limit. And if you look at how much work and over how long a time horizon and how intensely it was done by people who have achieved extraordinary things, people who have had extraordinary visions, you quickly find out that very few people, if any, I don't know anybody who would have that kind of discipline to force themselves to do that thing that they dislike for so long. And so the answer may be somewhere else. Let's look at what discipline actually entails. It entails exerting willpower in order to direct energy toward purpose. So let's take those three elements. There is the purpose, without which there is nothing to direct energy towards. There is no point in exerting willpower to dance around doing nothing. Then there is the energy itself, which has to do with healthy lifestyle. Many of us have that energy, but you often notice that when you do something that you love, it tends to create energy out of itself. Perhaps the best way to illustrate this counterintuitive fact is by looking at your workouts. Anybody who's done a workout properly and consistently has found out that doing so actually creates more energy. And so it's not like a resource that is consumed, more like it's something that can be wasted along the way, like the concept of electrical resistance. When if there is friction towards the circulation of that energy, then that is where that energy becomes wasted, becomes heat, and becomes damaging. And that is the case of many who try to go the discipline route only to find out that they ended up in burnout. Like me, for instance, I did automations for a year and became quite good at it, but eventually burned out because I disliked the whole thing. So, and the other part is the willpower. And while you can will yourself to do things that you don't like or things that are contrary to your nature for a certain period of time, you can do it consistently. And it often leads, if you do it consistently, it actually leads to that burnout I talked about. You are driving yourself into the grave. So what's the solution? Well, if you look at the people who have done so, you notice something else. If its energy is there, and if willpower is limited, it follows that the element that you can actually control in this equation is purpose. And that is where we get to the root of the issue. Now, when you do something out of passion, it is like a purpose unto itself. It provides pleasure to the activity itself, and thus it attracts and draws energy naturally without you having to exert that much willpower in order to do it. But when you do something because you are forced to do it, whether forced by external circumstances or like a boss, or perhaps forced by perceiving that you don't have an alternative, like you have to do this or you won't succeed, then that creates friction. And the reason it creates friction is because there is no clear, meaningful, harmonious purpose behind it. Like, sure, you know that I have to do this in order to succeed in business, blah, blah, blah. But the activity itself does not feel like it is rooted in a purpose, in an overarching purpose. And this is actually the problem and the epidemic of our times. People are not clear on what their purpose is, much less certain about it. And so other people, the environment, content that we consume, the jobs and schools and parents are those who impart upon us a sense of what we think should be our purpose. We should be wanting to achieve this or that or that. But actually, we rarely sat down and thought, well, if I didn't have to do this and that, what would I actually feel like it's meaningful to do? Like, when I'm going to die, what do I want to have accomplished? What do I want to have left as a mark upon the world, as a contribution? And that question of a meaningful purpose that is in harmony with your nature, with what you are endowed to do, with what you are naturally inclined to do, that is the first thing that should be clarified before embarking on an endeavor that requires a lot of consistent, sustained effort over a long time horizon. Because it is the only thing that will support your ability to do so. That vision, that sense of mission comes from the clarity of purpose, from knowing what you intend to do with your life. That naturally directs your energy without you having to exert that much willpower, except perhaps to create the habits and other systems that will allow you to do that activity in a frictionless manner. And now the whole is complete. You can have a core of your activity that you enjoy doing unto itself, which is the passion, which is what you might call subconscious purpose or purpose unto itself. And then there is the other half of the activity, the things that you need to do to fulfill your business. But now they're not only a necessity for business, they are also a fulfillment of your purpose. And when you fulfill your purpose in doing what you need to do, it is no longer an obligation, but a joy, much like passion, a source of energy, something that naturally draws your action and your interest into itself. And that is how you bypass the limited willpower. That is how you remove the energetic friction that otherwise leads to stress and burnout. That energetic friction occurs because of allowing an external purpose to override your own, or because of having no clear purpose of your own. But once you clarify it and pursue it, all of those actions that you need to pursue to make your business succeed and turn your passion into a viable product that sells and sustains your lifestyle also becomes something meaningful, also becomes a source of energy. Now you're no longer fighting against yourself. Now you are acting in harmony with yourself and can finally unlock the power and the energy that has been yours all along. My purpose, for example, my mission in life, the overarching goal towards which all others are aligned, to create a community of spiritually interested people who want to live in harmony with nature, to raise their children to the utmost of their human potential, while improving themselves, evolving themselves, and taking care of each other and of the living beings that form the environment around us, creating and giving value to the world. And everything I do, this video, the content I create, all of the courses I make to help people, they are aligned with that purpose. And so even though sometimes I don't feel like filming this, perhaps sometimes I don't feel like showing up on calls, I do it anyway because I know that is a part of the fulfillment of that purpose. That is what creates fulfillment. It is the purpose that is fulfilled. It's why so many people don't feel fulfilled. It is a source of joy and at the same time, a source of the strength and the energy to do the things that it must be done for success, any kind of success, inward or outward, to occur. I hope this helped you, and if you would like to know how to find your purpose more, check out the next videos where I talk about the ways that you can explore this purpose, the ways that you can find certainty and clarity about your purpose in life, and how to transform that into success by combining it with the clarity of systems and of steps and of actions to take